Get your money straight.
Get my money right.
With Solomon Jones and Akbar Hassan.
Fridays on Wake Up with Word.
7 a.m. till 10 a.m. Hosted by Solomon Jones. Exclusively on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live on wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Independence is a precious thing, but now and then everyone needs a little help. Isn't it good to know that getting the help you need doesn't mean drastically changing your life? Always Best Care Philly and Delaware is there to give you just the amount of help you need, from a few hours a week to as many hours as you need, handling everything from light housekeeping to meals, and so much more. Don't struggle. Contact Always Best Care and see how easy it is to age in place. Call us at 267-909-9248 or visit abcphillybristol.com.
My mom is stronger than anyone I've ever known. Growing up when life got hard, her strength helped pull us through. Even after her heart failure diagnosis, she remained stronger than ever.
My family's support keeps me strong. Together, we're rising above heart failure.
Heart failure doesn't have to steal your strength. For simple steps you can take to help prevent, improve, or manage heart failure, go to riseabovehf.org.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. Childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. But they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Solomon Jones. Wake Up with Word.
My mom is stronger than anyone
Let's talk
I've
about
ever
a
known.
simple budget.
Growing up when life got hard, her strength helped pull us through. Even after her heart failure diagnosis, she remained stronger than ever.
My family's support keeps me strong. Together, we're rising above heart failure.
Heart failure doesn't have to steal your strength. For simple steps you can take to help prevent, improve, or manage heart failure, go to riseabovehf.org.
My dad came to live with us last month, and it's going pretty well.
I feel like I never have time for myself.
With him being around more, it really lets us catch up on things.
His memory isn't what it used to be.
We get up and we have coffee.
He usually wakes up at 4:30.
Then we go for a walk.
He needs lots of my attention.
I do need to keep an eye on his medications, though. That's important.
Sometimes I feel like a pharmacist.
I'd say John and the kids are adjusting pretty well.
They honestly have no idea what I'm going through.
It can be a little challenging.
Help.
But so far, so good.
I could really use just a little help.
For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers for advice, tips, and support. Together, let's help each other better care for ourselves and the ones we love. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Drive in
with Solomon Jones.
Drive home
with Charles Ellison.
This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Philadelphia, independent black media. The views and opinions expressed by the guests, listeners, and hosts of any program on Word Radio do not necessarily reflect those of ownership, management, or advertisers of this station.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Chris Murray Report. Happy Saturday to you. We got a lot of things to talk about today in the world of sports, least of which was a big game out of the Link this afternoon. I know a lot of Temple alumni are excited about playing Maryland today, a team that they beat last year down in College Park by 3 touchdowns, and so they're taking on a Maryland team that's starting to feel itself. They scored over 50 points in their first 2 games, including a 79-0 shellacking of HBCU Howard University. Speaking of which, we are going to be talking about something today regarding historically black colleges today. Jamel Hill, my good friend Jamel Hill, wrote an article for the Atlantic Monthly about this controversy. Has received a lot of controversy, especially from a lot of right-wing conservatives who believe that Jamel Hill, by saying that black athletes, talented black athletes, ought to consider going back to HBCUs and helping to enrich HBCUs who have very little money. I mean, very little money, and they don't have they don't get the kinds of money that the big white schools get. Like, I think Alabama gets like $174 million in their athletic program every year, generated, of course, by football. And so what Jamel is arguing is that those black athletes ought to go back to those schools and help enrich HBCUs. And she makes an interesting point. And I tend to agree with her a little bit. And not a little bit, I tend to agree with her a lot, although there's some nuance to that too. And so she made the argument in the Atlantic. It got so much flack. She got so much flack from it. I mean, you had some right-wing conservatives come back from off of vacation just to go after her in terms of how she felt, in terms of her view of HBCUs. I think she makes a great point. And I think at the end of the day, she's not wrong about that at all. Although I do think in some kind there are some other things I wish that black people, and I'll say myself included, I wish that African Americans would support their HBCUs. I wish they would give their HBCUs the kind of support that they need. In terms of money and contributions, so we can get scholarships not only for athletic programs but also for general academic programs as well. So we will be doing. I'm gonna have John Mitchell talk about. I'm gonna break that down with John Mitchell right around at the top of the 12 o'clock hour. We're also gonna be talking boxing today with my man Joe Sanliquito. 2 weeks from today, the big fight between 2 top-notch welterweights, Errol Spence and Sean Porter, who beat Danny Garcia, our local hero, a couple of years ago, will be fighting against Errol Spence, who everybody says, who arguably is the best of the 147-pound welterweights in the world. Of course, Manny Pacquiao beat Keith Thurman a few weeks back. We'll see. I would like to see whoever the winner of that fight Manny Pacquiao. So, from that standpoint, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to cover. We're talking about your Philadelphia Eagles. Last week, the Eagles had a tough start against the Eagles had a tough start against the Washington Redskins. They fell down 17-0. Eagles came back to win the game, 32 to 27. And pretty much the Eagles owned the second half. The Redskins got a late touchdown, meaningless touchdown with time running out. And so they came up huge. Deshaun Jackson had a monster game. He had 154 yards in receiving yards, had a couple of touchdowns on bombs. And so you saw the worth of having Jackson back. He can still open up that field, and at 32 years old, he really stretched that defense of the Washington Redskins and really got them back in. I mean, that was the thing that got the Eagles back in that game. So, from that standpoint, ladies and gentlemen, the Philadelphia Eagles, I think, are going to they play the Atlanta Falcons tomorrow night. And we'll see that game coming in live when you watch that on NBC 10 tomorrow night. The Eagles are on the road against the Falcons. Like I said, today, the state of Pennsylvania for college football, like I said, over at the link at 12 noon, and you can watch that on CBS Sports, the CBS Sports Network today. If you're not at the link, the Temple Owls play the Maryland Terrapins, and that looks like it could be a trap game for Maryland. I think Maryland is not going to roll up that kind of yardage and those kinds of points against a stout Temple defense. Temple is going to come in there. I think they're going to be ready today. And the interesting thing about that game, of course, those are two schools I actually attended. I attended both Temple and Maryland. It's one of those Chris Murray Bowl kinds of games, and I always said the winner of that game gets to win this hat. If you're watching on Facebook, they get to wear. I always say I would like to give the winner of one of those games my hat. So this is the unofficial battle for Chris Murray's hat. Anyway, so that's one thing. That's going to be a tough game for Temple today. Maryland under Mike Locksley, who coached under Nick Saban at Alabama, rolled up. They've been rolling up points, and Temple. I think Temple is going to be ready. I do think that Temple has the confidence knowing that they beat Maryland last year on their home turf. So I think the Owls are ready. Penn State over in Happy Valley today. The 100th meeting of Penn State versus Pittsburgh, or Penn State, and they're saying this is possibly the last meeting of these two teams because of scheduling. I think that's a shame. That's one of the great rivalries. It should be one of the great rivalries in college football. I think Penn State will probably win this game today. So, like I said, that's what's happening locally in terms of local college football teams. I'm sure I have to look at I haven't seen Villanova's schedule yet, see who they're playing. But the thing is, those are the big ticket games. Now, I forgot to, as I always tend to do at times. Let's talk about how you can participate today. This first half hour is open. It's going to be kind of open phones. I'm just talking. Y'all can come back and talk to me. The numbers to call, of course, are 215-634-8065, 1-866-361-0900 if you're calling outside the area. Even when we have guests on today, please, ladies and gentlemen, please participate. I encourage your participation today. I encourage everybody to come in here, talk to me, talk to us about anything you want to talk about in the world of sports today. The Eagles have their game tomorrow. Are you excited? Are you excited about about the state of the Eagles right now? Yesterday they put their weapons on display. They play an Atlanta team, but I think that's a winnable game for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think that, like I said, last week started off slow, but they got it together and they won the game. Now, another thing that's going on boxing-wise, who do you like? Errol Spence? Do you like Sean Porter? Both those guys are two tough welterweights. I think what I like about Sean Porter is that he has that Joe Frazier mentality that I'm going to bore in, I'm going to be a tough guy. Errol Spence is the classic boxer and as lethal with both hands. And I think that's going to be an entertaining fight. The trash talk between the two has certainly been entertaining. And so from that standpoint, I think that I think we're going to have a situation where you're going to have a tough fight. It's going to be a tough fight, and I think that whoever wins that fight will certainly be noted among the best pound-for-pound fighters in the game. But we'll see. Manny Pacquiao beat Keith Thurman a couple of months ago, maybe a month ago, and so we'll see how the welterweights got some. Danny Garcia is still out there, guy locally from North Philadelphia. So you got a lot of people. The welterweight should be an exciting weight division. Tyson Fury fights tonight. He fights some Swedish guy tonight, and we'll see what happens with Tyson. I like Tyson Fury. Everybody's looking toward the possible rematch against Deontay Wilder. Arguably, there's some people who argue he beat Wilder, but Wilder managed to pull out the draw by knocking Fury to the canvas. So we'll see, when that's going to actually finally take place. Coming up in December in terms of boxing, Anthony Joshua Anthony Joshua is going to be fighting a rematch, or getting a rematch against the kid Andy Ruiz for the heavyweight title. He got knocked out, I think, in the 5th round of that fight back late last year, and it kind of exposed to me that Anthony Joshua was kind of soft. And so we'll see. They'll be fighting in where are they going to be fighting? They are going to be fighting in the. I think they're going to be. Here it is. They're going to be fighting somewhere. I think in the one of the Arab countries. I think, and so so as far as I'm concerned. We'll see what Joshua has coming back. If we want to talk about that, we'll get into that as well. Now, like I say again, there's a lot to talk about. Oh, by the way, another thing I forgot to mention in terms of our guests, we are going to be having Felicia. Thank you. Here's Fishmount on the line with us. Hold on a second. We're going to be talking to Felicia Greenfield Blau to talk about the medicinal uses of cannabis, marijuana, or whatever you want to call it in sports. It's going to be a situation where, the NFL back in May had a conference with the National Football League Players Association to discuss the possible usage of marijuana as a painkiller. As you know, we have the serious opioid crisis in this country, and recently a couple of pharmaceutical companies were caught up in a lawsuit which they lost, and so they were basically blamed for the opioid epidemic because they kept pushing those drugs out to people. And so we're going to talk about that, whether or not marijuana is good for players to use, to deal with the intense pain that a lot of athletes experience playing sports. And so from that standpoint, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking about, so we're going to have a pretty nuanced show today. But like I say again, feel free to call. We have Fishman on the line with us. Fishman, what's happening, brother?
Hey, good morning, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
All right, let's go Eagles. I was satisfied with that win. Deshaun Jackson did what he's brought in here to do, open up the field. Doug Peterson, how would you say it, was true to form on 4th down call and 2-point conversion. Fans love that. Moving into the boxing realm, I love boxing.
Right.
And the winner of the Sean Porter Earl Spence fight is the fans.
Right.
This is what we want to see.
Right.
We want to see the best get in with the best. All that old dodging and ducking by the promoters and the manager and the behind the scenes is not beneficial for the boxing fan.
No, it's not.
What else is on the plate? I guess these new video game leagues, I see now they're being broadcast on television. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I'm starting to see that a little bit, and the thing is, I kind of fancy myself a video gamer when my PlayStation is working and when I have PlayStation. But the thing, and I'm into the sports games. I'm not into the violent, shoot 'em up games, But they're doing that in the sports games. I think it's interesting. I think that. I guess that is becoming a thing, becoming a sport, and people. They have actual leagues. I think for Madden they have leagues. Yeah, that is becoming a thing, and I don't know. I may be inclined. I wonder if they have any in Philadelphia, and if there are here in Philadelphia, call into the show. Let me know where they are, and talk about it a little bit. So that's one thing. So are you a gamer, Fishman?
I used to be when I was a younger man, but guess what? I leave it to the younger folks.
Right.
My reflexes, all that stuff is, So, but they are building a stadium here in Philadelphia called the Fusion Arena. Can you bring somebody in from that part of the field to see what is their goal and what are they?
I would love to do that. I would love to do that because, hey, man, this is what people are doing. It's not what I wouldn't get into a league to do it. When I played Madden or what used to be NCAA. And I want to talk about that too because there was a lawsuit in California that's going to allow players to a settle or a ruling that's going to allow players to use their likeness for profit. But I like to play those games. I don't like to play people. I'm not good because I can't beat these young kids like you. I can't beat these young kids.
And finally, I like to see if you can answer a trivia question since you have a sports show.
Okay.
What is the fastest 2 minutes in sports, and what is the longest 3 minutes in sports?
I would say the fastest 2 minutes in sports is horse racing.
The Kentucky Derby.
The Kentucky Derby. Okay, and the Preakness Stakes and Belmont. Well, Belmont's a little slower. Okay, and what's the fastest 3 minutes is boxing?
The longest 3 minutes in sports is boxing. You're on your toes today, Chris. I'm proud of you. Keep up the good work.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, that was Fishman, and that makes me happy. Okay, so go back to the stuff we're talking about today. You know, here's a question before we get to John Mitchell, and I'm going to put this question out there. Okay, 215-634-8065, 1-866-361-0900. If you're on Facebook, if you're somehow catching us live on Facebook, okay, no matter where you are, you're in your car. You know, some people told me that they listen to the show. I want to hear your viewpoints on this. Should black athletes, I'm talking about blue chip, talented football or basketball players, should they go back to HBCUs? Are you resegregating college football? Should HBCUs be a viable option for talented black athletes? Because Jamel Hill says that, and it's been proven since integration, at one time, let me say this, at one time the best black athletes before integration were at HBCUs, Grambling, the Howards, the Morgan States, FAMU, Southern. The best black athletes went to those schools, okay? Integration, in effect, destroyed that situation because the black kids started going to some of the big white schools. And as far as I'm concerned, I am a believer. I am a believer in HBCUs. I'm a Morgan State grad. But I have some other issues with that because under the current state, because Morgans, the Howards don't get the best black athletes, going to a black college football game has become more or less not about the game of football. And this is where I think Jamel is probably making one of her points. It's not about football at all. It's about the party. I mean, whenever there's a classic, like I used to go to the Whitney Young Classic at the Meadowlands, Morgan would play either Hampton or somebody, or it'd be another set of black colleges, Hampton versus Howard, or whoever they come out to the Whitney Young Classic. And I'm sure there are classics all over the country that people go to. Not many people, and I'm going to be honest about this, not many people watch the football game. Okay? As a matter of fact, the Meadowlands may have sold out the entire stadium or maybe even sold out a large chunk of the tickets for one of those classics. The problem is that everybody is out there on the, out in the parking lot at the tailgate partying, chilling and partying back. The only time people come into the stadium to watch anything that's on the field is to see the halftime show. And yes, HBCUs have the best bands ever, okay? As a matter of fact, years ago when I was at Morgan, when Morgan was like on a serious losing streak, one of the things that I said, because Morgan was so bad on the field as a football team, I said the only thing good about Morgan football is the halftime show. And I was right. People at Morgan weren't happy with me because I said that one of the local TV people interviewed me about that, and people at Morgan weren't happy with me. The athletic department definitely wasn't happy with me when I said that. But, as a reporter, I got to tell the truth. Morgan was awful in those days when it came to football. But they had the best band in the country, and they just did. There's nothing wrong with that. But part of the problem is that the best athletes don't play at the HBCUs anymore. You don't see the Willie Laniers and the Doug Williams went to the HBCUs back in the day. Okay? Harold Carmichael, who should be in the NFL the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Harold Carmichael went to Southern University, was one of the best of all time. So from that standpoint, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to break. Now, at the bottom of the hour, I'm going to have Joe San Liquido talk about boxing. But before I get to him, I have a caller online, but I got to go to break. So when we come back from the break, I'm going to get to our caller, and then we're going to bring on Joe San Liquido to talk about boxing. And so you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD, Black Talk Media, the Chris Murray Report. We'll be right back.
Independence is a precious thing, but now and then everyone needs a little help. Isn't it good to know that getting the help you need doesn't mean drastically changing your life? Always Best Care Philly and Delaware is there to give you just the amount of help you need, from a few hours a week to as many hours as you need, handling everything from light housekeeping to meals, and so much more. Don't struggle. Contact Always Best Care and see how easy it is to age in place. Call us at 267-909-9248 or visit abcphillybristol.com.
Solomon Jones. Wake up with Word.
Akbar Hassan. Let's talk about a simple budget, because there's many ways to do a budget. Okay. All right, with a budget, what I would recommend is you take your total take-home income for the month, then you subtract from that your fixed expenses. Your fixed expenses are your rent, your utilities, card payments, anything fixed, and then you do a subtotal. Everything after that are going to be your variable expenses. All right, your food costs, any entertainment expenses, anything that doesn't fit in that fixed category. Then you're going to get your net total. The bottom line, that's the amount you want to throw in the savings.
Download the full podcast now
at WordRadio.com. Don't miss Wake Up with Word.
Weekdays, 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Black Talk Media.
Hi, this is Dexter Wansell. Join me, Gene Carn, and the Francisville community on Sunday, September 22nd at 8:15 p.m. under the Big Tent at 17th and Ridge Avenue. Be a part of new music history making on the historic Ridge Avenue corridor, the original location of the very first Blue Note nightclub and restaurant. I'll be looking for you when I perform my single, The Sweetest Pain. I'm Dexter Wansell. See you there.
Millions plan for retirement online. Estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, and manage your benefits all from the comfort of your home. And give yourself the freedom to do what you want offline. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Tune in every Saturday at 6 p.m. to Recovery Talk 101 with your host, Rick Ford, talking about addiction, treatment, and recovery, right here on Word Radio. You're listening to a Word Radio live event on 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD
or on Facebook at Forward.
Word TV.
Black Talk Media.
Okay, we're back. I don't know what that was, but okay. All right, we have on the line with us Joe from New Jersey. Joe, how are you? Joe?
Gotta disagree with Fishman. The fight we want to see is Crawford versus Earl Spence.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the fight we want to see. And I think that Spence will knock Porter out within 8 rounds.
Okay.
But on the question you were asking about the athletes supporting or going back to the HBCUs, even if they don't go back, they can still financially support them once they become rich.
Right,
You
right.
know, I don't know that you're going to get a lot of those guys to go back because of the TV money.
Right,
The
that's true.
HBCUs aren't on TV. They don't get the exposure, but they can still support them. They always write these big checks to, to these big universities that don't really need them, they could spend some of that money with the HBCU. How do you feel about that?
Well, that's one way of looking at it. I mean, my thing is that I get upset. There aren't there black millionaires who graduated from HBCUs. I know Earl Graves graduated from Morgan State, and I used to see him at homecoming every year. He supports. He put his money where his mouth is. But the thing is that a lot of black people who are well-to-do and got money, whether they're Howard grads and Hampton grads, we talk about, they all brag about who's a real HU or they brag about their schools, but how much do we really support? And I put myself in that category, because I don't support my HBCU, my Morgan State, or the school that I work at Bowie State, and I'm trying to contribute something. I try to take some money out of my paycheck. It's not enough necessarily, but you're right. I agree with that idea. Are you still with me? Okay.
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah.
I agree. I totally agree. Even with all of us, man, we rarely send our children to the HBCUs anymore. We need to probably try to get back around to that. I know I tried to send my one daughter to Hampton. She got her acceptance letter the day the school started, which I had already put her in another university, so I never really investigated what happened there. But I agree. We have to start to support the HBCUs wherever we can.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that I am in agreement with Jamel Hill. The only thing, and there's some criticism that I have. Like, they have this HBCU championship, and while I think it's a great money-making thing, I want to see our schools. Remember, in the football championship subdivision, better known as NCAA Division I AA, the first champion of that was FAMU, and I want to see our black colleges compete for those national championships at that level. How is it the University of Delaware or Villanova? I mean, they win. They're not big. They're not like the big schools, but they win those championships. And so, I'd like to see that. That's just me. That's just me. I'd love to see black athletes go back to those schools. I would love to see them go back there, and I think that it would. That I think they would, I think they would definitely, bring more visibility. I mean, HBCU football is on ESPN on a rather limited basis, but still, it might, if some of the best athletes are going there, and they can somehow compete with the big white schools to win those championships, that would say something. And so we'll see. So we'll see. I'm trying to conjure up Joe San Luquillo. But any event, Joe, thanks for the call.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, any event, I mean, and this is something when John Mitchell and I are going to talk about this in the next half hour, at the top of the next hour, is that we're going to talk about this whole thing. Should black athletes, as Jamel Hill suggests, and people attacked Jamel Hill pretty hard. Some of the attacks, of course, were unfair, because Jamel Hill was saying, look, black colleges don't get the money. And in her brilliant rebuttal, she wrote in the same Atlantic, she wrote a rebuttal basically saying, all you Republicans have been talking about, black people need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Well, going back to an HBCU to play football, yeah, it would help black colleges. I think it would. I think getting the best blue chip players, and if you can get a Morgan, and they don't have to go up against Alabama. I'm saying if they can just win Division I AA or football championship subdivision, NCAA football championship subdivision, FCS, because they have a playoff every year, and it basically involves schools the sizes of Morgan, Howard, FAMU, Jackson State, and all those things. And sometimes our schools don't compete necessarily in them, because every year that they would go to these playoff tournaments, they'd be one and done. I mean, even the year that Howard had like Jay Walker and Steve McNair and all those guys, not Howard, Steve McNair was at Alcorn, but even when those guys were good, they could never get past the first round of those playoffs. And so from that standpoint, you know, in other words, they're not even within that realm of schools, they're not contenders. And the thing is that we like to see for those schools to be contenders and to have all the athletes. Last year, Bowie State went, I think, to the I want to say the round of 16 or the round of 8 of the Division II playoffs last year before they lost. And so our schools have to compete with the same schools with the same student populations on that level. And if they brought back talented black athletes, maybe they can compete for those championships. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm still trying to conjure up Joe San Luquino. Now in boxing, you know, we have, you know, Terrence Crawford is still probably the best welterweight out there that nobody wants to fight. But I also like to see him fight in Errol Spence. I do think that Errol Spence will probably beat Sean Porter. I like Sean Porter, though. That's the thing, because I like him. He's a scrappy, you know, in your face is going to try to bore in and knock you out, like Joe Frazier. So I like Sean Porter, and I like Errol Spence, but we'll see how that fight shapes itself out. And so, you know, like I say again, Joe San Luquino will be covering that fight in Vegas. We'll see. That's right. Anthony Joshua Ruiz rematch will take place in Saudi Arabia, of all places. I just found out Saudi Arabia. That's going to be a big fight, big money fight. We'll see how that shakes itself out. I think that I do think that Ruiz did expose Joshua as being soft. You know, for some reason, those British guys, and I know that's the stereotype, but some of those British guys aren't necessarily the hardest fighters in the world, in my opinion, as compared to, you know, the American fighters. When I say the American fighters, I include the African American, the Mexican American, and, you know, a lot of the Puerto Rican and Cuban Americans who were here. And in other words, I consider that they're all American as far as I'm concerned. But, you know, I still say American fighters are the toughest in the world. Sorry, just, you know, that's America. That's who we are. You know, the Irish American, the Black American, we're a little bit tougher than the Brits and whatnot. I know it's a stereotype and all that, but I think in the boxing ring, we tougher than the Brits. Sorry, and I love the Brits. Okay, so for one thing, that's one thing. The Phillies, baseball, if the Phillies bullpen can hold it up, and if they can keep hitting, they're like 2.5 games out of the wild card. They start a series tonight with the Boston Red Sox at Citizens Bank Park. And so we'll see how we're going to be following the Phillies as well as they move to a possible postseason appearance, and we'll see. With all the money that they spent last year, you would think they would be winning the division. Right now, the Braves are pretty much going to run away with that division. Eagles have a big game. Call in 215-634-8065, 866-361-0900. I'm interested in hearing any of your 2.5 cents on any of these issues. I want to hear your opinions. You tell me what's going on. And because, what did you think of the Eagles' win last week? I mean, what did y'all think? You know, was that the step one to the 1,000-mile drive to the Super Bowl and everything? Are the Eagles a Super Bowl contender in your minds now that we've gotten the first game? Will they have an easy time of it in Atlanta? Will Atlanta, smarting from their first loss of the season to the Minnesota Vikings, will they come in and will they be ready to play? We will see. We will see how all this stuff shakes itself out. College football today. Temple, in about 23 minutes, will be kicking off against the University of Maryland. Maryland put up 59 points, against Syracuse, who was ranked 21 last week. And they beat poor Howard. Speaking of HBCUs, Maryland beat Howard something like 79-0. Howard University, one of the HBCUs. Howard got a paycheck out of that. But the thing is that it's hard. It's really hard. It was hard to see that. And and I went to Maryland, and when it comes down to the black colleges, you know, I would have liked to have seen Howard or Morgan. I like to see them win. But Jamel Hill makes an interesting point, makes a great point the best black athletes go to the big white schools. Same thing, and it's the same thing with students. I mean, as a professor, we don't get, especially at smaller schools, at small schools like Bowie State, Virginia Union, or Lincoln, or even Cheney, we don't get the best students. We don't get the top-notch students. That's not a bad thing entirely, because we get students and we try as best we can to make them into productive citizens. Because let's face it, HBCUs send a lot of people to grad school. Have most of the judges, most of the doctors did their undergraduate work at HBCUs. I remember being at Michigan State, coming out of Morgan State. I remember coming out of there, and it was mostly nothing but HBCU people in the grad schools, and we had a bit of a swag. We weren't scared to compete in the big white schools when we got there. We weren't afraid that, some people say that, when kids from HBCUs go to grad school or to medical school, that's some type of culture shock. We go in there, and I will tell you, as a graduate student, we go in, and we're the best students in that room, white or black, or with any race. We're the best students in that room because our schools have prepared us to get through those graduate school situations. And I often argue this with people, that our schools, the ones we don't get the best students, but we mold them and turn them in. And in some cases, it takes a lot of work, but we get the job done, and that's the most important thing. And so that's what, in terms of athletes, that's what HBCUs are trying to do. They now have to get the diamonds in the rough. So we'll see. Let's see, Steve from New Jersey, what do you got to say about all this?
Real quickly, you said something that I did like about the HBC, about the graduate school.
Right.
I'm going to make two quick points. He played defensive end for the Green Bay Packers back in the 60s. I can't call his name.
Willie Davis.
Willie Davis. If you remember watching that show when he was on there with Vince, when they did the thing on Vince Lombardi, he told Vince, I think in 65 or 64, he says, Vince, I'm going to go to graduate school at the University of Chicago. It's one of the better graduate schools. And Vince just about had a heart attack, and I was like, wow, this guy's going to graduate school at the University of Chicago, because I graduated college myself. And you wouldn't have thought football players had, all their marbles for some reason.
Right.
I'm just saying, you would have thought that. But he was a great player, and he did very good for himself. Now, real quickly about the HBCs, Bob Hayes, Willie Lanier, who you mentioned, Bell, all these great players came out of there. And today, the players that are coming out of the big colleges, like the University of Alabama, I mean, these guys, I don't know what they're doing. All of them got an attitude problem when they come out. I mean, are they learning anything in college? What are they doing in college? Are they graduating? We haven't looked at this. I think the reason why they're not going to the HBCUs is because of what you just said. They're probably going to have to go to school and work. They go to these big schools. I don't know if these guys are graduating. We need to do a survey and check on that to make sure these guys are. And real quickly for the Eagles, I won't hold you up. I don't know if you watched that Cowboy game.
Yes, I did.
The Giants. I was really shocked that the Giants had all that offense, and they just couldn't get it over. It's not going to be easy. It's going to go down to the wire this year, Nick. That's all I got to say. And thanks for taking my call.
No problem, Steve. Yeah, on a couple of points. I do believe that though at the big white schools, your job is primarily to play football. It's almost like a job there, not just for black athletes, but any athlete. It's a job. It's almost a job. You're consumed with playing football to the point where you remember Robert Smith, who played many years with the Vikings. He stopped. He didn't play football for one semester with Ohio State because he wanted to go. He was trying to go to medical school, and he's trying to get his medical degree, and all his biology classes took place in the afternoon. So, and that cut time on practice. So he said, "Well, skip practice. I will go and work on my classes." So we got to go to break. Coming back, we finally got Joe Sanlaquito on the line to talk about boxing and other things. So stick with us. You're listening to 96.1 900 AM WURD Black Talk Media. The Chris Murray Report will be right back.
Have you heard? New colon cancer screening recommendations are everyone starts at age 45. Blake GI Associates and Mount Airy Endoscopy Center at 6827 Germantown Avenue is at your service. If you prefer not to drink the prep, our practice is for you. Give us a call today at 215-849-4902 or check us out at www.jsblake.com and make your appointment today. We guarantee satisfaction. Have a great day.
My mother was always very active and independent, and she was familiar with her neighborhood. But one day, she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. She wasn't even really sure where she was at.
It's important for you to talk to someone about it. I felt so much better after my son told me, Mom, we'll figure it out.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Support independent Black media and join the onWURD movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy. Are you a little grumpy because you need to see a dentist? You're afraid to smile. This is not fun. Be brave. Make an appointment to see a dentist. You'll look better, younger, and you won't be afraid to smile. Listen to a little music by Marian Anderson. Some dentists have quiet music playing in their offices.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at onWURD. WURD TV. Black Talk Media.
Just talk about that. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a strong rhyme to step to. Think of how many weak shows you slept through. Time's up. I'm sorry I kept you.
Arguably the greatest rap lyricist of all time. Of course, Tribe Called Quest and some others would challenge me, but that's okay. Now, on the line with us, my man who writes for several publications, and he's everywhere. He's the head of the Boxing Writers Association, and probably one of the most knowledgeable guys I know in the sport of boxing, Mr. Joe San Liquido. Joseph, how are you?
Doing good, Chris.
Doing good. Okay, so we got the fight in 2 weeks. You're going to be there. Errol Spence versus Sean Porter. I like both these fighters. I don't have a favorite amongst these guys. I like, Errol Spence from the times I've seen him as a good boxer, great boxer, good tactician. And Sean Porter is basically that scrappy, tough guy, gave Danny Garcia all kinds of fits. That kind of in-your-face guy, although I kind of thought Garcia might have won that fight, if I recall. But the thing is that who wins this fight? What do you think of this? Is this as big a fight as advertised, or should this be even bigger?
No, I think it is where it is, regrettably. Sean Porter's the ever-ready buddy. He throws a lot of punches. Sometimes, I'll tell you what, I like to call Sean Porter one of the greatest showmen in the sport, simply for the fact that throwing a lot of punches doesn't mean he necessarily connects on those punches. And I feel it's more of an amateurish type of style than a pro style.
Right.
Whereas Errol Spence is exactly what you were saying. Errol Spence is one of the great tacticians in the game today. He's precise, he's cool, he's lean, he's accurate. And I think with all the running around that Sean Porter does, Sean Porter's a physically strong guy. Sean Porter's a very, very good athlete who happens to box. But in terms of who's going to win this fight? I think in my opinion, it's very, very simple. Of offense, Junior is going to come out on top here. It is a fight that I'm sure will get lost a little bit under the on-rushing cavalcade of your huge major college football schedule, and very easily get lost under the coming NFL week. But it's a fight that does deserve attention. I'm not going to say it doesn't. It's not. I would define as an over-the-top kind of. I'm going to drop everything and go. As a matter of fact, as we're talking here, I'm still debating as whether or not I'm going out for that fight.
Really?
I'm going to go out. It looks like I'm going to go out for Wilder and Ortiz, the rematch. Here you go. Making something on WURD.
When is that fight? Because I was trying to find.
Well, it looks as if it's going to happen November 23rd. Well, I'm not necessarily breaking it. I mean, the word's out there, but they're going to make it official sometime this week or next.
Right.
But it looks as if it's going to take place. Help me out with my Novembers. I believe November 23rd and November 23rd.
Okay. Now, Tyson Fury fights tonight against some tomato can out from Sweden. Is this guy is not any good, or is he? I don't know.
Wallen's not bad. I'm there with Chris. I was just, my anal tail there had to look it up. It is November 23rd. Ortiz and Wilder in Vegas, November 23rd. But this guy Rollins, he's not bad. He's not bad. He has a chance, a very, very minimal amoeba type chance to beat someone as skilled and someone as talented as Tyson Fury. But he's not exactly the walkover that Fury had faced previously. I the guy's name. The whole thing was a joke.
Right.
But this guy will fight back. This guy will make it a fight. And it's a shame. I'll keep track of it. I'll keep track of the results.
Right.
But as actually,
the way you say that, you're it's almost like, man, this is gonna be a terrible.
Yeah, I'm probably not gonna even watch it.
Right.
I'm not gonna even watch it. I'll probably put my focus on some other things and maybe catch up some writing and some things like that, and keep track of maybe online and round by round what's happening. But I am not going to go out of my way to that fight.
Right.
And I hate to say maybe I'm getting older, but that's happening more frequently. I'm just not going to go out of my way.
Right.
To bother with some of these things because they're just props, and I've come to a point in time and come to a point in age where I'm tired of the props. Give me something that I can sink my teeth into, as opposed to something that I know already what's going to happen. What happens?
Right. Now, one fight that I did see that's coming up is Canelo Alvarez and Sergey Kovalev, and what have you. What type of fight do you envision that to be? I mean, that's
Now that holds intrigue. That is going to be interesting because Canelo is coming up and in weight. I know it's been a little bit difficult. Actually, I think it's been very difficult for him to make 160.
Right.
He'll be jumping from 160. He'll be leapfrogging 168 and coming up to 175. We'll see if he carries his power.
Right.
I believe he has ability. I think he's one of the best fighters in the world today. I am not part of the Canelo Alvarez bandwagon. I am not on that train that states that he's the face of boxing. I respect his ability and the things he's able to do, but he's also failed a couple of
called the drug test. Yeah.
He's a little bit of the prima donna to him. But I mean, they all have it. I mean, everyone in every sport has it.
Right.
But him to deny Triple G a third fight makes me wonder and scratch my head. And that has more to do with them personally not liking each other than, just good boxing business.
Yeah.
Kovalev, and this is, and follow my logic here, Chris, this is, I think, Alvarez taking the page out of the Floyd Mayweather book, where you're grabbing a name and getting them either too young or too old. They're not exactly in their prime. Now, Floyd's fought the best and beat the best.
Right.
And many of them in their prime. But he also got Shane, we'll just say slightly on the other side of the hill.
Right.
He got Alvarez coming up.
And Kovalev is on the other side of that hill.
Oscar, I still think gave him his greatest fight. He got Oscar on the downside.
Right.
You're dealing with Alvarez now. He's certainly top of the mountain and in his prime, dealing with a Kovalev who is not. Kovalev's on the other side. He's on that downside.
Right.
He can still punch. He's still effective. He proved in his last fight against Yarmy that he can take a punch. He got in all the trouble and then came back and followed him around. He is a tough guy. He is a guy. I'll tell you what. He is a bar brawler, literally and figuratively. Sergey Kovalev is. He's no. By the way, he's far. He is far from a prince.
Wow.
So this is an interesting situation where Alvarez has his fans, as he should,
right,
and he has his proponents, as he should. But there's a situation out there where Alvarez may actually make Sergey Kovalev almost look like the good guy.
Wow, that yeah, that is that I find that totally amazing. And so basically,
the East thing where you have the two, in a way, to a point, like two villains going up against each other. Who do you want? The lesser of two evils. So in terms of marketing, it's got to be a lot of fun, and it's something there. I have a choice. I'm probably going to hold our BWAA West Coast meeting probably around the Wilder Ortiz fight the weekend of November 23rd in Vegas.
Right.
It's got to be a huge month in Vegas. November 2nd, I understand, between Alvarez. I'm sorry, between Canelo and Kovalev. Here's the other thing that I'm hearing through curious boxing people.
Right.
That Canelo and Kovalev may not exactly happen in Vegas.
We're going to fight in Russia?
No. We have computer access because I believe one certain NFC East team that does not, that the fan base of Philadelphia certainly does not like, they have an open date.
You're talking about Dallas? You're talking about Jerry World?
Yeah, AT&T Stadium. Yeah, how about that?
Wow.
In front of 55, 60,000 people. How about that? And they can hold it down there because it's dome. They can close that bad boy up.
Yeah.
Fight it under a fixed temperature. And they're dealing with, obviously, Canelo with a huge Mexican fan base coming in.
Right.
And he'll dominate. 95% of that crowd will be his crowd. Probably 98% of the crowd will be his crowd. But the possibility of passing that state in early November, where the weather, even if they want to open it up and it's nice out,
right?
They had that chance because it is Dallas, and you might get 6 degrees, something like that down there. But think about the spectacle of that. Then it becomes crazy. It goes from major boxing event to major event,
right?
Where they place like an ESPN first take remote from there outside the stadium, something like that. And I know there's a strong possibility that could happen. That's still up in the air, but that's going to make the site going to make this really. Because I know Jerry Jones is really interested in that. And if you have I think it's an open date. I think it's an open weekend. I think the Cowboys are way down.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's a really good fight. As a matter of fact, as we're talking here, I'd say it's a pick.
That's a pick.
With a guy that's coming up from smaller weight to an upper, and again, the big thing is, does he carry his power? Can he carry his strength and his power?
So in other words, this would be what? This would be at 168 or at 175?
No, it'll be at 175.
175. Wow, light heavyweight. Okay.
Canelo will become the weight.
Okay. Let me ask one question because we got to go. I got to ask one question. Terrence Crawford is the guy, is the 500-pound gorilla in the room, so to speak. And will he get a shot at either Spence or Porter or any of the other welterweights before it's said and done?
I'd like to see him get that shot, but I don't know if that shot's going to happen. Again, what you and I speak about many times on your air is the BS politics of boxing.
Oh, yeah.
Man. What is his name? I lost my train of thought here for a second.
Are you talking about the promoters? What's his name?
Bob Arum.
Bob Arum. And you have the other guy,
Al Heyman.
Al Heyman.
Basically, Al Heyman has all the pieces. He has all the pieces. Yeah.
Who does Al Heyman have?
Al has Spence.
He has Spence.
He has Porter. He has Thurman. He has Pacquiao.
He has Pacquiao. He has all those guys.
Yeah.
Wow. And basically, and Crawford's is the Arum guy, right?
Terrence Crawford is an Arum guy. Now, Terrence is fighting, I believe, he may be fighting December 14th. J-Rock was supposed to fight December 14th against Turd. There was supposed to be a rematch there, and it was interesting because the next day the Eagles were supposed to play the Redskins on the 15th down in D.C. But J-Rock, it looks like that may be scratched.
Okay.
So now you're looking.
Hey Joe, I got to cut you short because we got to go to break. We're a little bit well overdue for break. I mean, but we'll definitely get back to you. Thank you for being.
Let's catch up during the day of the fight with that Thurman report.
Okay, cool. All right, so you're listening, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Black Talk Media. The Chris Murray Report will be right back.
At Walter E. Sabbath Jr. Funeral Services, they value personalization and creativity. Call Walter E. Sabbath Jr. Funeral Service for pre-need and at-need arrangements at 215-924-4101. That's 215-924-4101.
3, 2, 1. Oh no. Which button am I?
When every second counts, you can't wing it.
Guys, a little help up here?
In a home fire, you may have less than 2 minutes to get out. So make a family home fire escape plan. Then practice home fire drills at least twice a year so everyone knows what to do when they hear. Prepare your family at ready.gov/fire drill. Brought to you by FEMA, the Ad Council, and Make Safe Happen.
What up, Philly? It's Solomon Jones from Wake Up with Word. Join me Saturday, September 14th from 11 to 3 for Hope for Philly. We're going to have free food, a job fair, giveaways, gospel ministry, face painting, moon bounces, and more. Come out and join us for Hope for Philly Saturday, September 14th at the Pennypacker School, 1858 East Washington Lane. And it's all brought to you by WURD, the Philadelphia Inquirer, ShopRite, AT&T, Sherelle Parker's office, Believers Bible Fellowship, Great Commission Church, Riverside Community Church, Mount Airy Baptist Church, and more. Hope for Philly, be there. For more information, go to WURDradio.com.
Word Show on the go.
Tell us where you'd like to see the Reverend Professor Dr. Aaron Smith bring the Word Show on the Go team next. Visit wordradio.com. Click the Word Show on the Go banner and let us know about your community event, big news in your community, or an issue you'd like to see addressed. You can also catch up on the latest episode of Word Show on the Go or binge watch previous episodes. It's Word Show on the Go with the Reverend Professor Dr. Aaron Smith, exclusively on wordradio.com. Word Show on the Go is funded in part by the Facebook Journalism Project Community Network. Word family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring production, packaging, and sanitation employees right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days of employment. They're also hiring part-time and seasonal employees. Entry-level candidates are encouraged to apply. Call Scott Drummond at 856-754-0360 or visit amorosos.com for details. Word family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring production, packaging, and sanitation employees right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days of employment. They're also hiring part-time and seasonal employees. Entry-level candidates are encouraged to apply. Call Scott Drummond at 856-754-0360 754-0360 or visit amorosos.com for details.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet, fingerling, Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Lifting every voice
till earth and heaven ring.
This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media.
Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD
or on Facebook at forward.
Word TV.
Black Talk Media.
Okay, we are back. We are back to the issue that we raised earlier. Now, before I get to John Mitchell, I got Maurice from Southwest Philadelphia, and Maurice, I wanted to get your view on the whole HBCU. He's not there? Oh, he's gone? Okay. Oh, second thought. He is there. Okay. No one's online. Okay. Well, in that case, we can start with John Mitchell then. John, I'm sure you read Jamel's article, and there was also a clapback to that article as well. You know, Jamel clapped back to some of the criticism that she got. What do you think of Jamel's point about African American athletes going back to HBCUs and playing football?
Well, I've always, you and I have talked about this issue before. It's something worth exploring. I do believe that the horse is out of the barn with this, in the sense that it's something that probably should have happened a long time ago. I mean, I'm for it. I actually wrote about this past week, and they attacked Jamel as actually wanting to resegregate public education, which I thought was absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
This is just basically about taking the resources of your community and making them work for you. It's just something that the Jewish community does, and nobody ever attacks them for it. It's something that other communities do, and they never get attacked for it. With this situation as it applies to colleges and universities, these athletes would generate revenue that these colleges don't have at the moment. And there's nothing wrong with that. And let's not forget that athletes were not, blacks were not allowed to attend many of these white universities, such as Alabama. We all know the famous story, and Jamel revisited it in her wonderful piece about how USC beat the Stew Beans out of Alabama, and Alabama decided. Barry Bryant said, "Hey, I've got to field black athletes if I want to be competitive." So I support the premise of it. Fundamentally, I don't see how any black person could be against it. I just think that now you're swimming upstream because the black athlete will look at, say, an Alabama, and he'll go there and see the $100 million facilities they have committed, to football, $150 million. I think Alabama's football makes $120 million in revenue every year.
Right. I mean, they made $174 million this year.
Yeah. So if you just look at that, that's what you're competing against now. But my argument, an argument that I always add to that, is that if you're a great and talented athlete, no matter where you play, pro scouts will find you. If that is what is the argument that some black athletes would have against attending an HBCU. I always say that the trio of athletes, Zion Williamson, Archie Barrett, and the kid from Norristown, had they all gone to North Carolina A&T, how good would North Carolina A&T been for that 1 year? Cam Reddish, how good would North Carolina A&T been last year? What schools would they have rolled over to qualify for the NCAA tournament?
Right.
So, yeah, it's a legitimate argument. It's so hard to do now because the horse is out of the barn, and you're asking a kid, it's worthy. It's worthy, but you're asking somebody who sees all these incredible opportunities at the Dukes and at Alabamas and at the USCs, and you're asking them to make a huge sacrifice. But it's just definitely merited.
Yeah. Would you say that ultimately, if they got those, wouldn't they at some point, if they start winning, start getting the money so they can afford those facilities? But I'm like you. There's a lot of other issues with black colleges that make it, that make Jemele Hill's premise. But I like her premise, though. I like the idea.
I really like her premise. I mean, what if African Americans didn't participate for the U.S. Olympic team?
Right.
What if Simone Biles wasn't the best gymnast in the history of the sport? What if LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone just said, we're not going to play for you all until this country starts living up to the ideals put forth in its Constitution, okay? Is that not fair enough? And I kind of see that, with the colleges. And I'll explain, my position is here we are 400 years removed from the first Africans arriving here in North America as slaves. Today, in 2019, African Americans with the same level of education as white Americans across the board make 21% less in American dollars. But these are Americans who have gone through the same rigors of education, have spent, in more cases, spend more money on loans because black people are poor. But yet, when you get to the professional arena, the single reason that you don't make as much as Mary Jo Paluski is because your name might be Muhammad Jackson and you're black. So America's got this acute problem. It's got this acute problem that it hasn't remedied after 400 years. So someone to suggest that this is resegregating, it shows that you want blacks, for African Americans to go and make money for black schools, which eventually they would.
Right.
Eventually they would, because white America has an insatiable appetite for watching athletic excellence. And when the playing field is level, black athletes excel.
Right.
So I mean, it's definitely a meritorious idea. But the exploitation is going so far down the road. But if these athletes did start making this commitment to black colleges and universities, it would start to change things.
Yeah, and they would start to win because, one of the things that bothers me, I used to cover the classics. I used to go as a fan, and I used to cover some of the classics, is that you're at the Meadowlands at the Whitney Young in North Jersey, and the game is on, and half of everybody is outside, hanging out with the vendors, eating food at the tailgate. Everybody's doing that. Then at about halftime at these games, folks come in to watch the band, and I found that, and I think what it is that black college football fans at the HBCUs, the football, the game itself, as one of these classics and whatnot, is basically is football. The game is just incidental to seeing the band. Now, I have nothing against. I love Morgan's band. I mean, Morgan has one of the best bands. I like FAMU. We love all the bands, the battle of the bands. But it seemed like football, because the talent is not there, football is really not that important, especially in the, I would say, the MEAC sector of the HBCUs, because now down south is a different thing. But I still say that from that perspective, that that football, the games themselves, because the athletes aren't the best in the world, football is almost like an afterthought, especially homecoming. Do you remember the homecoming? Do you remember the homecoming game that Howard won or lost in the last few years? You probably don't. You know,
we haven't done too much winning in the last few years, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
But also just think about it like this, Chris. Remember the names that the HBCs used to produce when there was still when the clanhood was inside the coach's desk.
Right.
So athletes like Walter Payton went to college. Where did Walter go? Mississippi.
Jackson State.
Went to Jackson State.
Right.
You look at Deacon Jones went to South Carolina State. These are athletes. Doug Williams went to Grambling. These are athletes that when they're coming along now, you would see them on all those recruiting websites, and there would be virtually little to no chance that they would wind up at those HBCUs that they attended.
Right.
It always speaks to the societal issues of our country and where we are and where we aren't as a country. All those great. Remember how Grambling used to have more athletes in the NFL, for those of us who are old enough to remember, than any other team.
Right.
Notre Dame, USC. But now the athletes, the black athletes for the past 40, 45 years has been recruited, and the primary color has been green, and we've seen the green passions that can result from recruiting African-American athletes. The color just they look past color.
Okay.
So these athletes go to these the schools that previously were not interested in that.
Right.
So that's why you have now the HBCUs that just don't have the football programs that they once had. I mean, the bands have always been present. When Grambling and FAMU had great, and Morgan had great bands, 35, 40, 45, 50 years ago, the games were better than they are now. But the bands have always been prevalent. But now it's, I know they keep telling me I have to go to North Carolina A&T to watch a game. I understand North Carolina A&T's games are really well attended. And but yeah, for the most part, HBCUs just the talent's not there. I mean, and I don't want to just paint with broad strokes because if I'm not mistaken, matter of fact, I'm certain about this. The defensive rookie of the year, the young man who played linebacker for the Indianapolis Colts, is a South Carolina State product.
Right.
So there are players who do go to the HBCU, but by and large, those athletes get taken away now because some mega coach comes into Nick Saban comes into your living room and recruits you, and you just got finished watching. It's Sunday, and Saturday afternoon you watch Nick Saban's team beat somebody 65-2. So it's become, again, the horse is out of the barn with that. But again, what Jamel came up with is it's something many of us had a conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Well, we have Maurice from Southwest Philly. Maurice, what do you got to say about all this?
Well, you know how I like. Wait, first of all, I am Chris Murray. Let's get that in front. But listen, let me tell you something. It has to do. I like to bring the street politics in with the sports, and just like you say, if you got a young man that's been working hard all his life, and you put a full scholarship, and you say you can go either to Howard or Harvard, what do you think he's going to pick? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You put that, he knows his opportunities is going to be greater. Not only is he being an athlete for himself, he's doing it for his family that made sacrifices to get him to that point. So, of course, he's going to go with the green and the more opportunity. That's why you don't have black sports is not blowing up, because we work so hard to make it acceptable for black students to be able to go to these schools, and then when they're able to go to them, then we're going to tell them, nah, man, you can't go there. You got to go to this one. You got to stay in the hood, And it doesn't work that way. See, we fight against ourselves, just like with the street politics, or what we tell kids when we had thousands of stores in our neighborhoods, but now we say, oh no, man, you need to go to that white college or get that white business job. Don't come back to the neighborhood. No, you got to do better than what we did. We don't want to see you back here again. We're fighting against ourselves sometimes.
Okay. No, John, I mean, I agree with that. I do think that, we don't support, a lot. We don't have any stores in our community, but then we don't support, we don't necessarily support, the black press, so to speak. I listen to this show, and you work at the Philadelphia Tribune, and we don't support Scoop USA or any of the local neighborhood papers like the Neighborhood Leader and others. We don't support our radio stations, our TV stations.
I have an idea for you, Chris.
You got an idea for me?
Yeah, for everybody, let's reenact Lou Rawls and get them colleges back up to standards. Because Lou Rawls had that telethon every year. Let's put Beyonce and Jay-Z out there and start running those HBO telethons to get some money up for them.
Yeah, United Negro College Fund. Yeah, I mean
that's what these young rappers claim they want to help out the community. Meek Mills, get Meek Mills here to get some money up for Cheney. Come on, let's have this concert and donate, all the black entertainers and put the money where your mouth is instead of doing a whole lot of rapping. Let's do some rapping with some money.
Yeah,
you know what, Maurice, you make a good point, because the thing is, when we look at black colleges in general, not just the athletic programs, we don't support them. I'm talking about the alumni. I mean, everybody, I'm running the Hampton graduates and Howard graduates and Morgan graduates. We all brag. Oh, well, I went to, there's a debate who's the real HU, Howard or Hampton. And it doesn't mean anything, because are we supporting our schools? Do we give them the endowments for the things that they need on campus? Like I would like to see my unit where I teach, I like to see them have, a stronger reading program to help kids get through. But we don't necessarily, go through, we don't go through these things for our university. We don't put that kind of contributions in.
Hey, Chris, let me close with this one, because I don't want to take up too much time.
Yeah.
Won't we treat the black colleges like we treat our churches? Give 10%. You come out, you get successful, just give 10% to help out the college.
You know what? That's true. I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that, because
it's been a pleasure and an honor to talk to you two gentlemen, because you keep it up. And Chris, I'm going to be on you about getting that boxing thing going on here in Philadelphia.
Okay, dude. Like I say, that's a great idea. I have to move back here. I have other commitments outside the city, but that is a good idea. We'll talk. We will talk. We'll talk soon. Thank you, Maurice. We got Bill from Upper Darby with us. Bill from Upper Darby, what's happening?
Yeah, how you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Got a comment, and it's something that's largely ignored, and that is the station we're on now largely serves the African American community and covers an area where there are high schools where there is incredible basketball and football talent on some of these high school football teams that are eventually, these talent are going to go into college and hopefully be groomed into professional sports. Now, when was the last time I ever heard WURD go out to like Simon Gratz and cover a football game, cover a basketball game? I'll give you at least a dozen other high schools in North Philly, South Philly, West Philly, with incredible, exciting high school basketball and football, and none of the games are covered. Nobody goes out there with a play-by-play. Where are the upcoming play-by-play African-American announcers being groomed? Not on your station. They should be, but it's largely ignored. And so the attitude is pervasive in a lot of ways in our society.
I would agree with that. I mean, there are a lot of other things that I could talk about, as to why why that's not the case, and because I would like to do a lot of that. I know Don Hunt at the Philadelphia Tribune does a lot, but he's one guy. And one of the things I had always advocated during my time at the Tribune, that if they're going to cover high school football, you got to have the resources to do it. You guys, the reporters and people out there to really, and I'm not talking, the formula that I always use, I used to work for the Gazette newspapers in Prince George's County and down in Maryland, and we covered all the high school, all the high schools, and we did play, even when the Washington Post wouldn't, and we did that. We knew that, you know, that by the time, you know, we were a weekly newspaper, we knew by the time that the paper came out, the games had already taken place, but we did it so that the kids could have a record of what they're doing, you know, their parents and all that. So that's
if you remember, like way back, and I'm going to use Will Chamberlain as an example, came out of Overbrook High School, right?
Yeah.
And nobody really knew who he was until he hit the big time. But here was a guy that was, if you knew who he had been in high school, you would have made your way to those games and supported those games, because this is the places that the Wilt Chamberlains, and not only that, not basketball, but football, there are some incredible high schools in the Philadelphia metro area that have some incredible teams. Who are they? Where?
You know, I actually watched one of them on television last night with St. Joe's
Prep, yeah.
Yeah, I watched they played IMG, and I hear what you're saying. What I will say is that so many of the outlets that once covered high schools don't do it the way they used to, and it's a shame. I was talking to a friend in the D.C. area who works in sports now, and he was telling me how Comcast NBC or Universal NBC is now making more of a push, because D.C. has a lot of schools in the D.C. Baltimore area that are becoming really, really prominent again in football. But as you said, like at the Tribune, we have one sports reporter, Donald Hunt. And even the Philadelphia Inquirer, which is where I used to work, doesn't make that commitment to prep sports the way it used to be done. So, you know, and you'd be surprised. You go to some of these games in South Jersey, in the Philly metro area, and there are thousands of people at them now. But I think part of that now is just because of the way the industry is being transformed. People, outlets don't, you know, the Inquirer is constantly reducing its staff.
Right.
They don't have the staff to cover it like they used to. But your point is very valid.
I would like to just make a final plea, if I can. Hope it doesn't not to you, but I hope it doesn't fall on deaf ears to me. Whoever runs WURD, you're the voice of the community. Get out there, support your local teams. Find out, let us know what high schools, who the superstars are on these teams, who's up and coming. Let us know what the standings are of these high schools. Overbrook, Simon Gratz, whatever high school.
You know what? I would love to do that, and but that also takes a lot of resources and a lot of time. But you know what, though? I will come up with a way to do that. And
in the old days, they would take a telephone out to these games and just have a guy doing the play-by-play as he saw it.
Right.
It was very low tech. Today, you've got cell phones where you can move around.
Yeah.
I mean, there are low-tech ways of covering, but I would like to see on Friday night, Saturday night, on this station, a coverage of local African-American high schools with these fabulous up-and-coming players. Who are they? We know nothing. Let me ask you a question. What's the standing of Overbrook's basketball game right now? Basketball team. Does anybody know?
The season's not
there yet. And ladies and gentlemen, I hate to kind of end this conversation because this is a hot conversation, but we've got to go to break.
All right.
John, I got to thank Bill. Thank you for calling, and John, thank you for being on with us today. We will definitely pick this up in another situation. So, ladies and gentlemen, you listen to 96.1 FM, 100 AM WURD Black Talk Media. The Chris Murray Report will be right back.
Brothers and sisters!
Don't miss The Source.
Weekdays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
on Word Radio.
WordRadio.com and the Word Radio app.
With soulful harmonies, intricate rhythms, and expressive ASL interpretation, the Annenberg Center welcomes back internationally renowned a cappella ensemble Sweet Honey in the Rock. on September 21st. This powerhouse group celebrates its 45th anniversary with a joyful mix of gospel, blues, jazz, and R&B, all rooted in the rich textures of African American legacy. Get tickets for Sweet Honey in the Rock on Saturday, September 21st at annenbergcenter.org.
Stop in Booker's upscale restaurant and bar, located at 5021 Baltimore Avenue. Booker's offers a southern flair with a modern twist. Enjoy outside dining, live jazz, scrumptious weekend brunches, happy hour, and more. Booker's has that downtown feel without the hustle and bustle. Booker's is family friendly and available for private parties. For reservations, call 215-883-0960.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. Childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. But they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Attention listeners, con artists have many tricks for stealing your money, but AARP is here to help you protect yourself and your family. AARP gives you the tools you need to spot and avoid scams. Learn about the AARP Fraud Watch Network and how to outsmart con artists before they strike. Use the Scam Tracking Map to see the latest scams in your area, and sign up for prevention tips and alerts from law enforcement. To learn more about AARP in your local community and what they're doing to protect consumers right here in Philadelphia, visit aarp.org/Philadelphia.
This is the story of a very special woman. Just a few knew about her superpowers. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Come on out, Philly, for the annual Love Turn Up Festival and Concert, 17th and Ridge Avenue. Bring the family from 1 to 3 p.m. for all the free activities, food, and horseback rides. Live entertainment starts at 3 p.m. and the main show starts at 8:15 sharp. Under the tent, Sunday, September 22nd, from 1 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Food and craft vendors call 215-520-7810, 215-520-7810.
You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we are back. I got a score for you. I got an update on the score. Temple is leading Maryland 7-2 Temple's defense has really come here to play today. They're limited Maryland to just 15 yards rushing. Temple got the only touchdown on a 29-yard touchdown pass from Anthony Russo to Isaiah Wright. But now Maryland just got back into it. They just got a safety, so it's now 7-2. Maryland's now driving the ball into Temple territory at this point. Now, changing gears. First of all, I want to thank all our guests for calling in. First of all, before we get to our guest, Felicia Greenfield Blau, we're going to have Mary from North Philadelphia in her car. She's been waiting patiently in the car. Mary, how are you?
Oh, I'm just fine, thank you. I have a little cold, but I was at the Eagles game Saturday. I was very impressed with everything that was happening on that beautiful day. I didn't see a lot of blacks, unfortunately, and I was a little disappointed at that. It was like 1 in every 300.
Well, I mean,
I was disappointed in seeing that.
You were disappointed in seeing that. I mean, there are black fans out there, but I see your point. There's not a lot of African American. Maybe it's because tickets are hard to come by, and ticket prices for football games are extremely high.
Yes, they are. Are there any rules for tailgating that either the general public might want to know about, or something?
I don't know them offhand, but I'm sure if you contact the team and all that, or the stadium, they can definitely do that. But there are black people who tailgate. I've been to a couple of parties over the years, so I've been to more than a few of those. So a lot of black people do tailgate. So they're there. It's just not many of us.
All right, then I'll take that advice. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Now, we're changing gears for a minute. We're going to talk about there are a lot of injuries in sports, a lot of knee injuries, and a lot of players have taken painkillers and all these things to relieve those pains. As a matter of fact, Brett Favre and others had gotten hooked on opioids over the years, and just recently it's come out that a lot of pharmaceutical companies are being sued, and people are winning those lawsuits because they're saying that the pharmaceutical companies have basically have a lot of people addicted on opioids. But there have been other more natural alternatives to opioids and painkillers. One of those is kind of controversial, is marijuana or cannabis, as my next guest will correct me on as soon as we get her on here. And a lot of people point to the medicinal uses. I know cancer patients have told me that, that cannabis or weed or whatever you want to call it, whatever the street value you want to give it, does a lot in terms of helping, people to ease the pain. Back in May, the NFL and its Players Association, they are studying right now. They met and they said they're going to study the possibility of using marijuana or cannabis for pain management. On the line with us to talk about the benefits of that is Felicia Greenfield Blau, who is a physical therapist and certified cannabis educator, to talk about the medicinal uses of cannabis. Felicia, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. It's so great to be a part of your show today.
I was wondering if you could tell us, talking about cannabis as a painkiller. I was wondering if you could talk about how well it works, or how it works in terms of helping patients who are suffering, whether it's cancer or from some other ailment, how to deal with some sort of extreme pain.
Okay, that's a great question. So I just want to share that as a cannabis educator, I educate the community about what is medical cannabis. And there are many events throughout the city in case people are interested in learning more of this as a medicine, cannabis as a medicine. And it's better to use the name cannabis because it helps direct people away from the racial term, which originally started, which was marijuana. which is now called marijuana, but it had this negative stigma attached to, dark-colored people coming up after the Mexican Revolution and after the Great Migration from the South. And it was a name that is really tied into the changes that our government made regarding this and kind of targeting this drug, which kind of has significantly negatively affected the African American community. So you can't talk about cannabis as a medicine without addressing that people weren't treated fairly, especially in the African American community, regarding medical cannabis. And now there's a lot of expungements that are happening and good things that are starting to change the conversation. And one of them is starting to look at medical cannabis as a medicine. So there are, in the state of Pennsylvania, 23 approved diagnoses that include Parkinson's, cancer, MS, HIV/AIDS, it has autism, epilepsy. Recently, it was allowed that we could have it for Tourette and anxiety disorder, but there's also people trying to get off their opioids. There's an opioid to cannabis is an approved diagnosis. So there's so many in our state because we really believe that this is a good medicine in the body. We have this system in our body that attaches to the receptors in the cannabis plant, and that's what helps to give these effects of lowering pain, lowering inflammation, lowering anxiety, so many good benefits from it.
Right. It just seems to me like right now a lot of the players in pro football are pushing it because to play pro football, play football at any level, really, there's a lot of pain involved. I mean, football is like driving a car, driving a car against other cars. It's like an accident almost every day. People are crashing themselves into each other. Now they got knee injuries, and I remember. I mean, on a personal level, I remember my fiance, breaking a foot and having to use stuff like Percocets or Dilaudid or whatever opioid that's out there. And I just want to know, what are the pain-killing products of cannabis or cannabis-like substances? Because a lot of people talk about that to me. From a medical standpoint and from a physical therapy standpoint, what does cannabis do to help ease people's pain?
Perfect. Great question. So there are things in the cannabis plants, there are elements in the cannabis plants that are called cannabinoids. And those cannabinoids, some of them are THC. That's one that a lot of people know that gives a psychoactive effect. And there's also CBD, cannabidiol. There's numerous others that they're doing research on, CBC and CBG and CBN. And there's some of them have different medical benefits of making people feel tired and relaxed so they have ease with going to sleep. Or some of them help with GI issues, and some of them help with pain management, which is so important, especially as a physical therapist. So when people have the cannabis in their body, it attaches to the receptors, which helps to lower the pain level that's in the body. It's actually kind of altering the people's perception of the pain, the amount of pain that they're having, and it's lowering the duration of pain. So people are actually able to maybe lower their opioid use, which is something that I'm passionate about speaking about and helping patients with, lowering their opioid use because they are putting in this other natural plant-based medicine, which is having this analgesic effect of lowering the pain level, lowering muscle spasms and muscle inflammation, and therefore helping patients to maybe skip a dose of their medicine. And that's how people slowly wean off of their traditional opioid medications into something like medical cannabis. So it's like a weaning off, or sometimes people are using a combination of pain medication with cannabis to help.
Wow.
So yeah, there's also terpenes, which are amazing, that are also just being discovered and researched, because these terpenes are fantastic. They have different scents that are trigger our aromatherapy principles in our body. So we smell these scents like limonene, which smells like lemon, or pinene, which smells like pine, or linalool, which smells like lavender. So these scents, we're naturally drawn to certain scents. our bodies are. And that's how we find the right medicine, through finding these scents that our bodies are drawn to, as well as the cannabinoids, such as the THC and the CBD, and in combination come up with medicines that help each of us individually.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So because a lot of the players, I'm sitting here, and before I go to break, I want you to think about this. One of the player for the Baltimore Ravens said, an offensive lineman named Eugene Monroe. He says that this guy's been calling on the league to allow the use of medical marijuana. And he says, look, and he said this back in 2017, he says the pain is never going away. And he says his body is damaged. I have to manage it somehow. Managing with pills was slowly killing him. Now he's able to function in an extremely efficient by figuring out how the use of different formulations of cannabis and everything. That kind of speaks to your point. I want you to answer that when we come back from break. I want you to talk about that a little bit. How, I guess, what does that mean to manage pain? So you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD, Black Talk Radio. We'll be right back.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations. Because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
Some knowledge belongs to us and us alone. The way our girlfriends walk, the way they talk, the way they touch their hair. We hold details that only a sister can know about her girls. But what about our other girls? The ones that we carry with us every day. Can we describe them when everything's right? Can we feel when something's wrong? Our bond with our sister girls gives life. But knowing your breasts can save it. Go to knowyourgirls.org for the facts you need on breast health. That's knowyourgirls.org. Brought to you by Susan G. Coleman and the Ad Council.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and catch the bus. Text and miss your stop. Wait. Text and be late to work.
Sorry, I'm late.
Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Tune in this Sunday at 4 p.m. for the show Money Matters, providing information and understanding about accumulating, preserving, and transferring your wealth with host Walter Watson.
Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD
or on Facebook at ForWord.
Word TV.
Black Talk Media.
Fellas, I'm ready to get up and do my thing. I want to get into it, man, Like a sex machine, man. Moving, doing it, Can I count it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Get up, get on up, get up.
Okay, we're back. And we're talking to Felicia Greenfield Blau, who is a physical therapist and also a cannabis educator, talking about the use of cannabis as a way to manage pain. Now, the player that I'm reading from a Washington Post article, he was saying that now that he's taking, medical cannabis, when we say manage the pain, I think I'm trying to figure if you mentioned it in our last segment, but how does one manage pain with cannabis? Is it like a certain dosage? You only smoke maybe 3 times a day, or is smoking the only way you can administer medical cannabis?
So there are many ways to help administer medical cannabis. There are sublinguals, which are a concentrate that goes under the tongue. There are pills. There's oil concentrates that people vaporize. There's the whole plant flower that people can get and use in a vaporizer as well. In the state of Pennsylvania, you're not allowed to smoke cannabis, and so therefore they have other options such as vaporizing the cannabis. So those are some. Also, we have a lot of products that our patients use that are topicals, which are amazing because then you're having this benefit of the THC and the CBD in these medicines going directly into the skin. Really helps with muscle pain, joint pain, and inflammation in those areas.
Wow. Yeah, because because I had to admit.
So one other part, just to answer your question, is that people want to start low and slow. So once they get a medical cannabis card, there's a whole process for that. You can go to the PA Medical Marijuana site if people want to look about how to register for a card and then to see a physician. But once you get to the dispensary, the number one thing they're going to say is low and slow. You want to start off with just a little bit and try it and see how it feels in your body. And it's an important point is that also a lot of pharmacies and local places are selling CBD, which is cannabidiol, which is one of the compounds in the plant. And that is, people need to know that it needs to be organic and third-party tested. They need to know what kind of product they're using. CBD on its own is from the hemp plant and has no psychoactive effect. So it's a good start for some people to maybe who are interested in learning a little bit more about this plant-based medicine to try something like that they can get. We sell them here at our Reboot offices. We have a whole line of products, but people want to know that it's third-party tested and organic. And CBD is so helpful for the anti-inflammatory, anti-pain, and the combination of the two medicines, the THC and the CBD, are what are really most powerful in benefiting patients. Delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, which people have only one thing. They think it's just for getting high or having that psychoactive effect, but it has many medical benefits in the body. And in combination with CBD, people find the right balance, whatever ratio of cannabinoids that would work for them.
Okay. Now here's the thing. So you can't go up, we used to jokingly say, you can't go up to Tyrone, your local weed man, your local street dealer, and just buy, just buy whatever, I don't know, a nickel bag or something like that, whatever they called it now. Because I never did that kind of thing. But you just can't go up to your local dealer and buy that kind of weed, for pain, or can you?
Well, there are strains. That's a great point. Is that there are strains of cannabis. There's sativas, which are uplifting, energetic, focused, like let me clean the house and feel good while doing it. And then there are hybrids that are ones that are kind of in the middle that have like a little bit of up and a little bit of relaxation. And then there's indicas that are like in the couch. I just want to relax and eat bonbons and watch Netflix. So you could have your medicine in any part of that range of a hybrid that leans towards a sativa, up, energetic, and focused, or it could lean more towards relaxation. And so people have strains that may be better for during the day, different strains that are better in the evening when they're trying to wind down, and then strains to help people go to bed and then stay asleep. People with insomnia or cancer diagnoses or pain or PTSD who have trouble falling asleep and then staying asleep. And so cannabis can be a medicine throughout the whole day, once you find the right medicine for you.
Okay, but you can't find a lot of those, because you talked about a lot of different, of strains or whatever you want to call it that focuses in on pain killing. So So if I do find my local street guy, or if I go to a bar, say in Denver, where cannabis is legal, then I would have to maybe specify something, a brand that's more suited to painkilling, to killing pain.
So there's a lot of places that people can do some research online, and then there's people that are educating all the time throughout the city. In the state of Pennsylvania, you would want to start by getting a medical cannabis card, which would then give you access to the medical marijuana dispensary. And then you're doing it legally, and you know your product is third-party tested. From seed until sale, they are following that plant and know everything that it's been exposed to, which unfortunately you don't know if it's just on the street. However, if people are getting it where they're getting it and it's not in the medical marijuana dispensary, I would really recommend them knowing at least what kind of strains that may work for them. Type in, Google pain and medical marijuana, or insomnia and medical marijuana, or PTSD, or traumatic brain injury. Like whatever the people have as their issues, you can look that up and start learning.
Right.
If you're going to be putting this plant into your body, you want to know what it is that you're putting in your body, whether it's an opioid medication or benzo or plant-based medicine. Know your medicine.
Do you think as different jurisdictions begin to legalize marijuana I'm sorry, I'm saying it again. It's a habit.
It's okay. It's a process of learning.
Right.
Yeah.
So, do you think as different jurisdictions begin to legalize it, that people will know what's going into what they're taking? Because you're right, when you bought it streetwise, people lace the street product with all kinds of stuff. They're lacing the street product with all kinds of chemicals or whatever. I've heard different people say different things about what they put in on the street level. Do you think that's going to regulate what goes into medicinal cannabis and all that, and even recreational cannabis? Do you think that somehow that gets regulated with it being legal?
I know in our state they are doing a thorough job regulating the grower, the processors, and the dispensaries. They are held to very high standards, and the medicine that comes from those places is being tested, and I feel confident in what they are sharing with our entire state, and we have a great state program. I think as different states jump on board to either be allowed for medical use or for adult use, which states around us, and including Pennsylvania, is trying to have those conversations to see if that's some direction we want to go in. I think it would be especially important for the products to be held to that same standard of being tested and held to a high standard, so patients are getting responsible medicine that's going to be good for their body and not harm them. And when you don't know where it's coming from, it's a risk. It just is. So one way to mitigate that risk is to do it, above board, and to have the card. And then you're speaking with people that work at these dispensaries that are so knowledgeable. They are living their passion, talking about medical cannabis with patients all day long. So they know which strains, they know which cannabinoids and terpenes and flavonoids all go into it to make a good medicine for all these patients. So people can go in with their individual concerns and their own bag of medicines that they're already taking and start a whole new conversation about an alternative that may work better for them or in conjunction with what they're already using.
Okay. Well, Felicia, I gotta say thank you for sharing, for sharing this knowledge with us. Where can folks find where you are, or find, you or take advantage of your services as a cannabis educator?
Thank you so much. So as a physical therapist, and I specialize in breast cancer and hernia work and outpatient orthopedics, and we have physical therapy and acupuncture and chiropractic. You can find us at Reboot Integrative Wellness Center at www.rebootiwc.com. You can look me up on Facebook. We have a Reboot Integrative Wellness Center on Facebook, and we are on Instagram. But if you want a direct number, my number is 215-625-6630. 215-625-6630. Ask for Felicia, and I'm happy to answer any questions that patients have about any of these topics that we discussed.
Okay. Thank you very much, Felicia. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are out of time. Boy, time flies by fast. You're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD, Black Talk Media. The Chris Murray Report will be back in 2 weeks on the 28th. So we will be off next week. So join us back again on the 28th of September. Take care and have a great weekend.
Creator Roofing. That's the company my dad runs. He's a great roofer and a father too. I've watched my dad over the years. He really cares about his customers like he cares about our family. My dad has been a licensed bonded roofer for over 20 years. He runs Creator Roofing, he's a block captain, and he started Streets of Hope, a ministry to feed, clothe, and shelter the homeless. Call my dad because he cares about people at 267-333-1778.
Hi, this is Brandon Wallace, the owner of Creator Roofing. Please give us a call at 267-333-1778.
Temple University was founded on the belief that everyone deserves an opportunity to do and be more. Today, that's still our belief, and we are committed to strengthening Philadelphia, starting with the community we share with our neighbors. The North Philadelphia Workforce Initiative aims to break the cycle of poverty by helping youth, veterans, returning citizens, and other people secure jobs that pay family-sustaining wages.
I'm Shirley Moy, Director of the North Philadelphia Workforce Initiative. My vision is to provide opportunities for people with a range of abilities. It's about people acquiring additional skills through resources Temple can offer, so our neighbors can advance and explore new career options.
See what's possible. Temple.edu.
If you're looking for a great paying part-time job with flexible hours, check out 2020 Census Jobs. You may have another job, or not. You may even be retired or looking for some extra income, but you can also help make sure that everyone gets counted. So apply today at 2020census.gov/jobs to help strengthen your community.
Hi, this is Dexter Wansell. Join me, Gene Carn, and the Francisville community on Sunday, September 22nd at 8:15 p.m. under the Big Tent at 17th and Ridge Avenue. Be a part of new music history making on the historic Ridge Avenue corridor, the original location of the very